So, with the introduction of the new generation of consoles, some of my friends have been asking me which console I thought was more worthwhile, the Series X or the PlayStation 5. Luckily, we were fortunate enough to acquire both systems. But before I could even answer which console was superior, I had to ask another more important question. What type of gamer are you? And do these consoles cater to your reasons or desires for playing video games? Are you a single-player gamer? Someone that focuses primarily on the storytelling aspect of gaming, being the sole protagonist of a journey and having a satisfying beginning, middle, and end to your games? Do you also enjoy the idea of being the hero of your stories, constantly being transported to different worlds and taking on the persona of a new hero each time? Well then, I'm not entirely sure these consoles are necessary for you. As it stands, to the extent of my knowledge, there's only one real exclusive game in the roster of launch titles for the PS5 and Series X, which is Demon's Souls. Now don't get me wrong, Demon's Souls is as close as possible to a masterpiece of a game, but is it really worth paying $500 to play one $70 game for maybe 80 or so hours, and then waiting for a new console exclusive for another couple of months to maybe even a year? Most of the other titles that have been presented to us, you can play on the previous generation of consoles. Spider-Man Miles Morales, you can actually play it on PlayStation 4. Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Call of Duty Cold War, you can play both on the PS4, the Xbox One, or you could even play them on PC and have an almost identical experience to the new consoles. On top of that, there are maybe 30 years of beautifully crafted single-player stories that I'm sure a majority of us have not gotten the chance to play, and maybe going back and experiencing some of these iconic titles might be exactly what you're looking for, instead of just jumping to the next console and playing the 17th or 18th installment of a franchise that you are far too familiar with. So maybe single-player games are not the main reason you play video games. Maybe you are a multiplayer gamer, someone that enjoys the social aspect of gaming, being able to stay in touch with your friends that don't live close by anymore, or maybe friends that you made through your online presence. The idea of social distancing isn't as diminishing to our mental health because we have resources that allow us to stay in touch with people that matter most to us. But with that being said, I don't believe then that the new generation of consoles are the right fit for you. Speaking from my own personal social background, a lot of my friends just don't have the financial stability or the time to even invest in buying a new console. And the friends that are interested in buying the PS5 or the Series X, with how pre-orders have been, it has become almost impossible for a majority of my social circle to acquire the new consoles. Although, it can be argued with the PS5 and the Series X, one can still play their old games and still connect with friends that are playing on the previous generation. But then, what is the point? You're just going to be playing the same old games, still talking to your friends that are hanging on the previous generation, and you're simply paying $400 to $500 just to have some form of exclusivity that no one can really see, and maybe having slightly better frame rates and loading times. But investing that amount of money just for a few extra perks seems rather pointless to me. But maybe it's not as simple as just single-player or multiplayer games for you. Possibly the reason why you're so invested in getting these new consoles is because you are a technical or a graphical gamer. The idea of having a visually stunning experience is possibly a driving factor for you. And to be honest, that's perfectly fine. The way technology is evolving, games are becoming more and more immersive, realistic, and just visually exciting. There's absolutely nothing wrong with prioritizing visuals. The same as with movies. Sometimes you just enjoy material that catches your attention on a superficial scale. But yet again, I'm not entirely sure that these consoles would be the right fit for you. Yes, it is true that these are the most powerful consoles to date, but let's not forget that Nvidia has created the new RTX 3080 and 3090, which, to my understanding, completely blows the Series X and PS5 out of the water in terms of just graphical superiority. And on top of that, though it may be true that these consoles can provide 8K resolutions, one would have to actually own an 8K television or monitor. Those types of products are not readily available right now. Also, they are quite expensive. Do you believe, just to get the optimal resolution for your consoles, that you're going to buy an entirely new television alongside the PS5 and Series X? It just seems a bit obnoxious, investing so much just to get the perfect visuals from a console, whereas you can just play on PC with far superior graphics cards and have an amazing experience. Although, one could argue the reason why you don't pursue PC gaming is because it's too expensive. Possibly the reason that you buy consoles is because you enjoy the budgeted experience behind them. You define yourself as a frugal or budgeted gamer. You enjoy the idea of video games, but at a reasonable and affordable price. And that is fine. It's even respectable. You're someone that appreciates art, but also understands how reality is. You need to be financially conscious, and you have the mentality where video games don't take priority in your life. And while that is very admirable, that leads me to my next statement. I don't believe it's necessary to buy these devices then. Let's use an example. Say you're interested in buying the PlayStation 5. Luckily, there are two versions, the $400 version and the other, the $500 version. So you decide to invest in the $500 version. Then you realize you have friends, family, or a significant other that will play with you regularly. So you need to buy a second controller, which will end up costing you an extra $70. You then realize the PS5 only has 825 gigabytes of space. Unfortunately, a lot of the versions of games, their file sizes can be above 100 gigabytes each, meaning that you may only be able to store a few games in your console at a time. So you decide to buy an external hard drive, preferably an SSD external hard drive, to maintain the faster load times. A relatively good-sized SSD can cost above $200. Once the storage issue is out of the way, you need to be able to purchase some games. And with the current trend of new generation titles, some of these games, the standard editions cost around $70 each. Demon's Souls, Call of Duty Cold War the cross-generation bundle, Godfall, they cost $70 each, which is $10 more than the previous generation's standard pricing for games. So hypothetically, say you want to purchase 3 new current generation games. That will cost you another $210. Lastly, let's not forget that all 3 of these games benefit from the use of PSN or PlayStation Online, which requires an annual fee of $60 a year, just to be able to play online with your friends. This is no longer a budgeted hobby. Consoles are no longer cheap alternatives to gaming. All of these new accessories, games, consoles, and subscriptions, the price builds up over the years and it is expensive. Though it could be argued the initial price for building a PC can be expensive depending on where you buy your parts, but in the long run, it could potentially be cheaper for you. Online services on PC are free, meaning you don't have to pay an additional fee just to play Destiny 2 or Gears of War with your friends on PC. On top of that, the sales that are available on PC, specifically the Steam summer sales, you're able to buy some of these AAA games for a fraction of the price. A lot of them for under $20. All you have to do is just wait for a year and you'll have access to a majority of those same games that you were dying to play earlier, and you'll most likely have saved quite a bit of money. Instead of paying $210 for 3 games, you could buy these same 3 games for $60 during the summer sales. Not only that, with a PC, you don't have to constantly keep buying an entirely new system. Occasionally, you may have to buy a part here and there, but that same PC will stick with you for years and has a longer lifespan than some of these consoles that are currently riddled with glitches, bugs, and crashing errors. So, if you're not interested in the single-player games, the multiplayer games, if you're not interested in the graphical aspect of video games, or budgeting or frugal aspect, would you define yourself then as a superior or dominant individual? Do you enjoy the idea of having the best equipment before anyone else? Being able to boast to your friends, telling them, "Oh, I was lucky enough to acquire the best the market has to offer"? Well, if that is the case, I fear there may be another question you might have to ask yourself. Are you really a gamer? Or are you just someone that enjoys having the latest gadgets? Ultimately, the choice is yours. If you truly believe that these consoles will make you happy this holiday season, don't let me or anyone else tell you otherwise. If you truly believe you need this console, then go for it. I'm simply here trying to save you money and to tell you that these consoles aren't really worth it. At least, not yet. Maybe a year from now, when the library of games has grown and the consoles have worked all of the bugs out. But as it stands, having had these devices for about a month, though these consoles have a lot of potential, they're just not worth it right this second. But with all of that being said, I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and even if you don't, I hope you guys have an even better tomorrow. We'll hopefully see you guys next time. Bye everyone.